This guy made $5,000 on this house right here, and he didn't cold call anyone. He didn't spend any money on marketing, and he didn't even find the deal. This deal found him. Now, this property was listed at $725,000. Multiple other buyers tried to buy it. They failed, but after roughly 2 hours of actual work, Peter wholesaled it and got paid. But here's the one thing, this deal actually started over a year before that check ever arrived. Let us show you exactly how it happened. So Peter, let's go back to where this actually started. It wasn't when the agent called you the second time. Let's go back to how it started.
Well, it started the first time I reached out to this agent and put an offer in on another property she had on listed, a fixer property in this community, which I knew well. I used to work right next to it. So I knew the community, very sought after, HOA, golf course, pools, all that kind of stuff. She had a fixer property. I went to look at it. She had an open house, got to meet her. I put an offer in, too high for her liking, but I said, hey, keep me posted. You know, if anything else ever comes across your desk, I would love to put an offer on it for any kind of fixers that come across your desk. So she put me on the list, and that was about like 18 months before this deal happened.
Most people, they're so transaction focused when it comes to real estate. There was this deal over a year ago you're talking about, right? You met this agent, you submitted an offer, it was a fixer type property, it didn't work. But then over a year later, from that initial interaction, that initial relationship, it produced a different type of outcome, actually produced this deal that's coming on the table. Now let's talk about, you initially met her a year ago, but she reached back out to you with a deal. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, she reached out to me because she kept me on the list. I mean, it's a mistake a lot of us can make, thinking that that's it. I didn't get this one and there's nothing else I can pull from this. But that connection you can make with the agent on market didn't cost me anything to make that connection with that agent, and just be respectful, be professional, show up like I'm here to solve a problem, be someone you want to do business with. Yeah. I think that's what she got from me. Like, this is someone I'd like to work with. Yeah. So kept me on the list. And that led to this. She reached out to me. Like, I literally saw, she sent me an email or a text message reaching out to me. And then I saw the listing come up. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, this is a fixture I was going to reach out to anyway, but she hit me up first.
Warm.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it basically said, hey, Peter, I'm doing an open house this Saturday. Come and check it out. She didn't have any photos on the listing, just the neighborhood, just showing the whole area, the community there. So she was really forcing people to want to go walk the property. So I did that. Obviously, I'm okay with that. I like walking properties. Having a warm body in front of you kind of just makes you feel a little bit more like, okay, I'm dealing with someone real or not.
So she called you, you went out to the property, it's a fixed type property. You know, we love these types of deals too that don't have any photos. It's an opportunity to build a relationship with the agent. You already have somewhat of a relationship. She reached out to you before we even hopped on here. I said, Peter, when the heck did you know this was a deal? And you said the minute you stepped in. So when you walked this property, what did you start to see?
Yeah, I always wonder when agents say fixers and they don't have photos, I always wonder, like, is it really a fixer or just it's outdated and it can still be bought, you know, at not retail price, but, you know, by someone, an end buyer still. So I had to walk the property. I wanted to get a feel for it for myself. And as you'll probably see in the photos that I took, very outdated, like stains, carpeting, like it needed work.
It's settling.
And I noticed there from the settling, like, I've seen other properties in this community and they seem to always have a lot of the same issues. Not sure if it was like a developer defect or something like that, but same like hairline cracks going through the same columns and on the ceilings. And I said, okay, this is not something that just anybody's going to want to deal with. So this has to go to a cash buyer. It's not going to work for a rental because the price points for a rental is just not going to make sense for the price point this is going to be at. It has to go all cash. It has to. So that's when I did my walkthrough, took my videos for my, you know, potential buyers or partners, said thank you, and then I'll get back with you with my offer. Went back home, analyzed it, and then gave her a call back and told her what my number was going to have to be at.
Okay, nice. Want to park it right here real quick?
Yeah.
You went to the property, you met the agent, you took photos, you took videos because you're planning on wholesaling this from the get-go as well.
Yeah.
Maybe if it was a great fixer-upper, maybe fixing and flipping yourself, but you have those photos, you have that information, it's going to help your buyer if someone else is going to buy or your JV partner. And you met the agent again, right? That relationship with that agent, you went face-to-face. That's what most people aren't willing to do already.
Right.
This is what actually closes deals. A lot of people just try and text message agents and not meet them in person or actually talk to them over the phone. So you're in the running at this point. She's listed it at 725, but what about the numbers? Where'd you need to come in at? Because you're going to break a lot of beliefs for everyone here with the number that you need to come in at to make it work.
Right. So I had to really start paying attention to all the details, especially when you're in a community like this. You could have a property that's on the golf course, or you could have a property that's a little bit higher and have a different view of the whole canyon and the golf course, or you could be right on the golf course, or you might have no view and no good access to anything. So I had to take that into consideration with all the different comps that I found. And I even asked the agent, say, hey, I noticed this one does not have a view like these other comps.
Yeah.
What kind of a value add is a view in this area? And she said about 20 to 25%. So I actually used that to figure out what my offer was going to be.
Nice.
You know, after kind of estimating about 100K in repairs, you know, it wasn't a huge house. You know, it was like, I think a 2-2 could be converted to a 3-2.
I think it's like around 1,400 square feet.
Yeah, nothing big. You know, it's like a very planned out community. You know, not large lots or anything like that. So, you know, with that, I kind of knew where this has to come in at, because with this amount of work that needs to be put in to bring it to this value, without a view, it only made sense to be close to about 620, maybe 625, depending on how much repairs actually have to be done. But I was coming in around 620.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's over $100,000 off the list price. So already I'm like, she's not going to like to hear that, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
You're a pro. That's the number that works for you, that if you're going to fix and flip it, you're going to make your profit. If you're going to wholesale it, you're going to make your wholesale fee. It doesn't matter what it was listed at. You got to come in at 620 around there, and that's what you got to stick to. And so you told her that, right?
Yep.
620.
I told her it's gonna have to be around 620. I mean, with, you know, especially without the view, like you told me, with the repairs that might be needed. Like, I don't know if we're dealing with structural issues, if it's, you know, if it's just hairline cracks, just the drywall, we just got to replace. I'm not sure. You know, I'm not a licensed contractor, right? So that's where I need to be to be safe, and based on the comps and what, you know, what I've seen. She said, okay, well, you know, I've got other offers at like 675, so we're just going to go with that. And I said, you know what, no problem, I understand. Yeah. Just please keep me posted if, you know, it doesn't work out. And she said, yeah, of course, no problem.
No harm, no foul. Was she mad at you for saying 620?
Absolutely not. She was probably just like, oh no, that's not going to work for us. We got higher offers than that. I'm like, okay, it's no
business.
Problem.
But what happened, I think like a week or two later, after you told her 620?
So I keep track of it, right? I keep it, you know, favorited. So I get, you know, notifications as soon as something changes. I see it go pending or go under contract. And then about less than a week later, I believe it was, I see it back on market. I said, hey, Carol, I saw that it's back on market. Can I have another crack at it? You guys going to reconsider my offer? She's like, well, we have another offer we're going to accept. We had another backup at like 650, so we're going to go with that. I said, okay, no problem. You know, just keep me posted. Same thing. I see it go under contract, and then about a week later, I see it back on market. Actually, and I think before I even like reached out to her again, because I didn't want to be like a broken record, like, hey, it's me again, you know, but I was ready to do that. She reached out to me and said, look, we took it off the market again. They fell through. We were actually going to accept another offer, but I already know they're not going to go through. So we'd actually would like to go with your offer. And I said, beautiful, let's do it.
Beautiful. So she trusted you. Maybe the offer was even higher. She had two other higher offers. And for everyone watching, this is the tale as old as time. People overinflate their ARVs, deflate their repairs. They come in at too high of a price. They're jokers, they're tire kickers. They don't know what they're doing. They're amateurs. That's what we call them, because Peter submitted an offer that he submitted that took two other offers or three going in and out of escrow, to then the agent calls him back. The agent called you back, basically saying, for goodness sakes, we want to close this frickin' deal. Peter, does your offer still stand? She's asking you that. That's power and that's leverage.
And staying consistent instead of, because we all know what a lot of wholesalers will do. They'll get under contract much higher than they should, than they know they should. But they just want to get under contract, and then, hey, you know, we need to get a price reduction. And, you know, sometimes that's valid, and other times it's not, because they were doing it, you know, on purpose to just try to get the deal under contract and then kind of, you know, strong arm them to go down. But I stayed true to my number, and I said, I think 620 will work. And
Yep.
then at that point, when she said yes, I said, let me, talk to my JV partner. And I'd actually
Yep.
already let them know about this, that I said, hey, I've got a potential deal here. I've got a good connection with the agent. Are you guys interested in this? They said, yeah, we would be interested in this. I had them look at the number and said, we'd actually have to be more like 615, 610.
Yeah.
So then I brought it to the JV partner and brought it to the agent and say, look, I got a partner I work with, I like working with. They could actually do this deal. They don't have to take any kind of buyer commission, help put more money in your seller's pocket, in your client's pocket, and they'll pay me something. They'll take care of me. You don't have to worry about me. I'm going to do this to just bring this deal together. And they ended up accepting at 610, and then I just had them do the deal. I said, it was less stress for me, less paperwork for me to actually get under contract myself. I trusted them, they trust me, agent trusts me, wants to work with me. She said that multiple times, I'd like to work with you.
Love it.
So I said, I'm just gonna be the person in the middle, like the conduit that brings it all together. And it's literally, I did less than 2 hours total work of time dedicated to this. Literally emails, text message, maybe a phone call here and there. And aside from driving to the location and back home, that's all the time I put into it. And I was more than happy to just get a $5K, fee for my troubles.
For 2 hours, $2,500 an hour.
Yeah.
It's not bad. When we break it down, some of these deals are like that, not every single deal, but wanted to break it down so everyone could see, how does a 2-hour deal even happen and you make $5,000? And what's really important, I was around Peter the whole time he's closing this deal. It's one of the least stressful deals I've ever seen you work on. I'm very happy for you.
They're just like, yeah, just doing this, yeah.
And it's because you laid all of the frickin' groundwork beforehand. You were in the arena, you submitted offers, you already had your buyers and JV partners lined up. You weren't scrambling around trying to stressing out who the heck's gonna buy this. You already know you're in communication with the agent, you're in communication with your JV partner and your buyers. So then they just slide right in, which makes it easier because now you don't need to do an assignment. You don't need to double close it yourself or anything like that. You have trust with this buyer. A lot of people say, man, what if the buyer goes around you? That doesn't happen when you work with people who you like and you trust and you're both in this together, right? We only work with good people. So are there sharks out there? Yeah, but don't work with them. Don't just give them the contract or allow them to submit the offer themselves. That takes trust and relationship building like Peter's been able to do. What's most important in those situations, assign it, double close it. But Peter had the relationship, he didn't need to do that. Most people watching this are gonna be like, how the heck do I make $5,000 in 2 hours? The better question is, how do you put yourself in a situation, a winning situation like Peter, every day, every week, every month? Because that's what you do, it's what we do with our students. And I think the number one thing is start frickin' submitting offers. This whole deal, this $5,000 check you got, started because you submitted an offer 12 months, 18 months ago. It showed the agent initially that you're actually serious, and most people aren't even going to submit a written offer. So that's one of the most important things. I think number two, you're professional from the get-go, and that's part of submitting a written offer. The most professional people submit written offers. A deal isn't real unless it's in writing, right? You're a professional. I'm sure you showed up, you were showered, you weren't smelly, you weren't wearing puka shells, you probably had a collared shirt on, you shook her hand, you looked her in the eye, and she remembered you so much that the next deal came, she reached out to you about this deal, right? Not the other way around. This deal found you, which is so vital and important. Third, you followed up. Peter followed up. When this deal fell out of escrow, Peter was right there calling the agent, reaching back out to the agent. He did that twice. So the third time reciprocity happened, she reached out to you, right? People are wondering, how the heck do you get deals? Well, if you're not submitting offers, you're not following up, and you're not being professional, deals aren't going to come to you, right? It's like the compound effect that starts to happen. And that's what we call the snowball effect. When you stay in the game, when you submit consistent written offers, we always say this all the time, it takes 10 to 15 written offers to get a deal. So that's one deal in 10 or 15 offers. What about the other 9 to 14 offers you send? This is exactly what happens. A week later, a month later, 12 months later, the deals come back to you. Or the tale's old as time, someone else comes in with an offer, or 2 other people come with a higher offer that don't know what they're doing. But since you stuck to your guns the whole entire time, the agent calls you again, says, hey, Peter, does your offer still stand? I want to work with you this time. Like, man, I trust you from the get-go. I trust you right now. Let's close this frickin' deal. And I think that's what created this winning situation and allowed you to make $5,000 from a couple hours of work.
Absolutely. It's all about taking that opportunity to be more than just an offer I submitted that I didn't win the first time. It turned into a connection with an agent, which then led to a deal down the line. So that's one of the biggest things, if you can take away from this, is that just because you submit all these offers and you're not gonna win everyone. It's just not gonna happen. But you can get something out of that. If it's a connection with an agent, that could be money down the line. So when you are open to those possibilities of this could be an opportunity for something else, or maybe even someone else, and you can help bring a deal to someone else. If that deal doesn't work for you, maybe it works for someone else, and you still find ways to make money, because that's what we do. We solve problems. We see things that nobody else sees.
Amen. We're professional problem solvers day in, day out. Proud of you for being in the arena, proud of you for being in the game. That's how these situations happen. A lot of people are on the sidelines. They want to make this happen. Get in the game, start submitting offers. And if anyone watching, if you want to find on-market deals just like this, $100,000 below the list price that you can get under contract. It's happening day in, day out. Analyze them like a pro, like Peter. Build winning agent relationships. Create winning situations like this every single week. There's a link in the description to schedule a strategy session call with my team and I. And we'll walk you through the MLS offer system we use day in, day out that we've been honing for 14 years. And then in the meantime, check out any of these videos here if you want to see the whole process from beginning to end. And so you can be the best real estate investor in your market. This is Alex and Peter with Real Estate Skills. We'll see you in the next one.
See you.